Hello everyone, it's Becca from Becca Books and Bujo, and today we are going through my anticipated releases for 2024. I've never really been super into watching when new releases are coming, but these 10-ish, 11 books I'm very excited about for coming out in 2024, mostly because they are by authors that I've read before and loved before. So I'm just gonna chat through them, tell you the title, when they're coming out, and then probably give you a short synopsis straight from Goodreads, because that's what I can do today. So the first book I am anticipating, and probably the most anticipated, that is The Women by Kristen Hanna. Kristen Hanna is definitely one of my favorite authors, and I can't wait for this next historical fiction from her. This comes out February 6th, and I'm actually hoping to read it before then, because I have an arc from NetGalley, so hoping to read that fairly soon. Let's see. This one says, women can be heroes. When 20-year-old nursing student Frances Frankie McGrath hears these words, it is a revelation. Raised in the sun-drenched, idyllic world of Southern California and sheltered by her conservative parents, she has always prided herself on doing the right thing. But in 1965, the world is changing, and she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships out to serve in Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps and follows his path. As green and inexperienced as the men sent to Vietnam to fight, Frankie is overwhelmed by the chaos and destruction of war. Each day is a gamble of life and death, hope and betrayal. Friendships run deep and can be shattered in an instant. In war, she meets and becomes one of the lucky, the brave, the broken, and the lost. But the war is just the beginning for Frankie and her veteran friends. The real battle lies in coming home to a changed and divided America, to angry protesters, and to a country that wants to forget Vietnam. So again, that one comes out February 6th. Another that comes out on February 6th, there's actually 3 on this list. This is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. Tia Williams is the author of 7 Days in June, which I just recently read and loved. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. So this one says, leap years are a strange, enchanted time, and for some, even a single February can be life-changing. Ricky Wilde has many talents, but being a Wilde isn't one of them. As the impulsive, artistic daughter of a powerful Atlanta dynasty, she's the opposite of her famous socialite sisters. Where they're long-stemmed roses, she's a dandelion. An adorable bloom that's actually a weed, born to float wherever the wind blows. In her bones, Ricky knows that somewhere a different, more exciting life awaits her. When regal nonagarian Miss Della invites her to rent the bottom floor of her Harlem brownstone, Ricky jumps at the chance for a fresh beginning. She leaves behind her family, wealth, and chaotic romantic decisions to realize her dream of opening a flower shop. And just beneath the surface of her new neighborhood, the music, stories, and dazzling drama of the Harlem Renaissance still simmers. One evening in February, as the heady, curiously off-season scent of night-blooming jasmine fills the air, Ricky encounters a handsome, deeply mysterious stranger who knocks her world off balance in the most unexpected way. Set against the backdrop of modern Harlem and Renaissance glamour, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde is a swoon-worthy love story of 2 passionate artists drawn to the magic, romance, and opportunity of New York, and whose lives are uniquely and irreversibly linked. So, this one sounds great. The thing I loved about Tia Williams' first romance, well, I know it's not her first romance, but the first romance I read was just the depth to the characters and how it wasn't just a silly, lighthearted romance. So, I am looking forward to that one. The last one to come out on February 6th is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Now this one wouldn't be my normal go-to, but because it's Ali Hazelwood, I am willing to try it. Ali Hazelwood writes wonderful romance books, but this one is more paranormal romance, and I'm willing to give it a try. So this one says, a dangerous alliance between a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf becomes a love deep enough to sink your teeth into. So, sounds like Twilight? Think so. Misery Lark, the only daughter of the most powerful vampire councilman of the Southwest, is an outcast. Again. Her days of living in anonymity among the humans are over. She has been called upon to uphold a historic peacekeeping alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares. Spelled W-E-R-E-S, so werewolves. And she sees little choice but to surrender herself in the exchange. Again. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and their alpha, Lo Morland is no exception. He rules his pack with absolute authority, but not without justice, and, unlike the Vampire Council, not without feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her. If only he knew how right he was. Because Misery has her own reasons to agree to this marriage of convenience, reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about. And she is willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers, even if it means a life alone in Were territory, alone with the wolf. So, a marriage of convenience. I really, really like that trope. And I loved Twilight when I was in high school, and so I feel like I could love this vampire werewolf romance. The next book I'm talking about comes out February 13th. It is The Phoenix Crown by Kate Quinn and Janie Chang. I love Kate Quinn. She writes wonderful historical fictions, and it seems like she is teaming up with Janie Chang for this thrilling and unforgettable narrative about the intertwined lives of two wronged women, spanning from the chaos of the San Francisco earthquake to the glittering palaces of Versailles. I love a book that takes place in France. Okay, so this says San Francisco, 1906. In a city bustling with newly minted millionaires and scheming upstarts, two very different women hope to change their fortunes. Gemma, a golden-haired, silver-voiced soprano whose career desperately needs rekindling, and Su Ling, a petite and resolute Chinatown embroideress who is determined to escape an arranged marriage. Their paths cross when they are drawn into the orbit of Henry Thornton, a charming railroad magnate whose extraordinary collection of Chinese antiques includes the fabled Phoenix Crown, a legendary relic of Beijing's fallen summer palace. His patronage offers Gemma and Su Ling the chance of a lifetime, but their lives are thrown into turmoil when a devastating earthquake rips San Francisco apart and Thornton disappears, leaving behind mystery reaching further than anyone could have imagined, until the Phoenix Crown reappears 5 years later at a sumptuous Paris costume ball, drawing Gemma and Su Ling together in one last desperate quest for justice. That sounds amazing. I am interested to see if it's told from the two different perspectives, like Kate Quinn writes one of the women and Janie Chang writes another. That would be cool. But yeah, I am really looking forward to this historical fiction. Now we're jumping all the way to April 2nd, and there's actually 4 books that I'm interested that are coming out on April 2nd. I guess that's a big publishing day. So the first is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. I thought this was a companion or the second in a series to The Very Secret Society of Regular Witches, but it maybe doesn't seem so. It says an enchanting novel about a witch who has a second chance to get her magical powers and her life back on track from the national best-selling author of The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Sarah Swan was once one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great-aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead, lost most of her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, and was exiled from her magical guild. Now she, slightly reluctantly and a bit grumpily, helps Aunt Jasmine run an inn in Lancashire, where she deals with her quirky guests' shenanigans, tries to keep the talking fox in check, and longs for the magical future she lost. When she learns about an old spell book that could hold the secret to restoring her power, she finds herself turning to Luke Larson, a gorgeous and icy historian who might be the only person who can help her unlock the book's mysteries. The fact that he also happens to be her one-night stand from years ago is totally irrelevant. Running an inn, reclaiming lost magic, and trying not to fall in love is a lot for anyone, but Sarah is about to discover that she doesn't have to do it alone, and that the weird, wonderful family she's made might be the best magic of all. So it sounds like it might follow kind of the similar formula that The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches had, found family and accomplishing a task, with a little bit of romance in there too, so I am excited for that one. This next one, also coming out on April 2nd, I'm more just intrigued by because I've read one of his books and liked it, but I would like to read more by him. So this is Table for Two, Fictions by Amor Towles. This one says the millions of readers of Amor Towles are in for a treat as he shares some of his shorter 6 stories set in New York City and a novella in Los Angeles. The New York stories, most of which are set around the turn of the millennium, take up everything from the death-defying acrobatics of the male ego to the fateful consequences of brief encounters and the delicate mechanics of comprise which operate at the heart of modern marriages. So I think it's just a bunch of short stories written by Amor Towles, and I really did like his writing in A Gentleman in Moscow and look forward to The Rules of Civility also. I think that this one would be a good one to read before I jump into Rules of Civility, just to get Amor Towles' style a little bit more, and because they're shorter stories, I could finish them a little bit easier and more quickly. The next one is from another one of my favorite authors, Abby Jimenez. This is Just for the Summer. And it says, a sharp and scintillating summer novel that will make readers laugh out loud and cry happy tears. Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, it's now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate the second they break up. When a woman slides into his DMs with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date each other and break up. Their curses will cancel each other's out, and they'll both go on to find the love of their lives. It's a bonkers idea, and it just might work. Emma hadn't planned that her next assignment as a traveling nurse would be in Minnesota, but she and her best friend agree that dating Justin is too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially when they get to rent an adorable cottage on a private island on Lake Minnetonka. It's supposed to be a quick fling just for the summer, but when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings for each other. What if this time fate has actually brought the perfect pair together? Sounds good! I love Abby Jimenez. I love that her romances take place in the state that I live in, and they're always just so fun. And also, like Tia Williams, they have a little bit more depth than just surface level romance. So that one will be great. And then the last one coming out on April 2nd that I am excited for is Here We Go Again by Allison Cochran. I read Kiss Her Once For Me by Allison Cochran and really loved it. So this one is a new queer rom-com following once childhood best friends forced together to drive their former teacher across the country. A long time ago, Logan Miletus and Rosemary Hale used to be friends. They spent their childhood summers running through the woods, rebelling against their conservative small town, and dreaming of escaping. But then an incident the summer before high school turned them into bitter rivals. After graduation, they went 10 years without speaking. Now in their 30s, Logan and Rosemary find they aren't quite living the lives of adventure they imagined for themselves. Still in their small town and working as teachers at their alma mater, they're both stuck in old patterns. Uptight Rosemary chooses security and stability over all else, working constantly, and her most stable relationship is with her label maker. Chaotic and impulsive, Logan has a long list of misguided ex-lovers and an apathetic shrug she uses to protect herself from anything real. And as hard as they try to avoid each other and their complicated past, they keep crashing into each other, including with their cars. But when their beloved former English teacher and lifelong mentor tells them he has only a few months to live, they're forced together once and for all to fulfill his last cross-country road trip. Stuffed into the gayest van west of the Mississippi, the 3 embark on a life-changing summer trip. From Washington to the Grand Canyon, from the Gulf Coast to coastal Maine. That will chart a new future and perhaps lead them back to one another. Sounds fun! I love a road trip, and with romance on a road trip, should be even better. Another romance coming out in April is Funny Story by Emily Henry. Of course, everyone is anticipating this one. But this one says it is a shimmering, joyful new novel about a pair of opposites with the wrong thing in common. Daphne always loved the way her fiancé, Peter, told their story, how they met on a blustery day, fell in love over an errant hat, and moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He really was good at telling it, right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend, Petra, which is how Daphne begins her new story. Stranded in beautiful Waning Bay, Michigan, without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian that barely pays the bills, and proposing to be roommates with the only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex, Miles Novak. Scruffy and chaotic, with a penchant for taking solace in the sounds of heartbreak love ballads, Miles is exactly the opposite of practical, buttoned-up Daphne, whose coworkers know so little about her they have a running bet that she's either FBI or in witness protection. The roommates mainly avoid one another until one day, while drowning their sorrows, they form a tenuous friendship and a plan. If said plan also involves posting deliberately misleading photos of their summer adventures together, well, who could blame them? But it's all just for show, of course, because there's no way Daphne would actually start her new chapter by falling in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex, right? That sounds good. I really like Emily Henry's books, so that one should be great. I have a lot of romance and like rom-coms on here. And speaking of rom-coms, the next one I am interested in is The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. This comes out June 11th. The tagline for this one is, "She's rewriting his love story, but can she rewrite her own?" Emma Wheeler desperately longs to be a screenwriter. She spent her life studying, obsessing over, and writing romantic comedies. Good ones that win contests. But she's also been the sole caretaker for her kind-hearted dad, who needs full-time care. Now, when she gets a chance to rewrite a script for famous screenwriter Charlie Yates, the Charlie Yates, her personal writing god, it's a break too big to pass up. Emma's younger sister steps in for caretaking duties, and Emma moves to LA for 6 weeks for the writing gig of a lifetime. But what is it they say? Don't meet your heroes? Charlie Yates doesn't want to write with anyone, much less a failed nobody screenwriter. Worse, the romantic comedy he's written is so terrible it might actually bring on the apocalypse. Plus, he doesn't even care about the script. It's just a means to get a different one greenlit. Oh, and he thinks love is an emotional Ponzi scheme. But Emma's not going down without a fight. She will stand up for herself and for rom-coms and for love itself. She will convince him that love stories matter, even if she has to kiss him senseless to do it. But what if that kiss is accidentally amazing? What if real life turns out to be so much more real than fiction? What if the love story they're writing breaks all Emma's rules and comes true? Sounds good! I really like Catherine Center's books, and that one shouldn't disappoint. We're jumping ahead a bit in the year to a September 10th release, and this is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. This is the sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which when I read that book, I had no clue that there was going to be a sequel, and I'm so excited because The House in the Cerulean Sea was 5-star, one of my favorites, absolutely loved it. So this one says, a magical house, a secret past, a summons that could change everything. Arthur Parnassus lives a good life built on the ashes of a bad one. He's the master of a strange orphanage on a distant and peculiar island, and he hopes to soon be the adopted father to the 6 dangerous and magical children who live there. Arthur works hard and loves with his whole heart, so none of the children ever feel the neglect and pain that he once felt as an orphan on that very same island so long ago. He is not alone. Joining him is the love of his life, Linus Baker, a former caseworker in the department in charge of magical youth. And there's the island's sprite, Zoe Chapelwhite, and her girlfriend, Mayor Helen Webb. Together, they will do anything to protect the children. But when Arthur is summoned to make a public statement about his dark past, he finds himself at the helm of a fight for the future that his family and all magical people deserve. And when a new magical child hopes to join them on their island home, one who finds power in calling himself Monster, a name that Arthur worked so hard to protect his children from, Arthur knows they're at a breaking point. Their family will either grow stronger than ever or fall apart. Welcome back to Marseilles Island. This is Arthur's story. Somewhere Beyond the Sea is a story of resistance, lovingly told about the daunting experience of fighting for the life you want to live and doing the work to keep it. Ooh, that should be good. I'm so excited to return to this world and see what happens next with these characters. The last book I'm talking about today is coming out October 15th. This is The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. It is the 3rd in the X-Hex series. I love this romance series. It'll be perfect in October, right before Halloween. So this one says, Bowen Penhallow has always been a loner, studying dark and ancient magic on a mountaintop in Wales. He prefers it that way, but when his friend Colin, who happens to be a ghost, asks him to attend a Yuletide wedding at a grand estate deep in the Welsh countryside, Bowen reluctantly agrees. Tasman Bly is not a witch, but she makes her living off of them. As a procurer and seller of magical items, Tasman's business is not always above board, but she's been trying to fix that, mostly. Bowen is an occasional customer, as well as the star of several of Tasman's dirtiest dreams. But she's been around enough witches to know that, as a human, getting involved with one is not the smartest idea. She's finagled an invite to the witchy wedding of the century in the hopes of finally making a score big enough to retire. Just one priceless magical artifact from Tywell House would set her up for life. But Tasman isn't the only one sneaking about in Tywell House, and the mix of a very strong spell combined with a wedding mishap transports Bowen and Tasman into Tywell House's past to the Yuletide celebration in 1958. As Bowen and Tasman work together to get back to the present, they must also face off with the origins of Tywell House's haunting, the suspicions of their fellow witches, and the fact that somewhere between the mistletoe and the bonfire, they might be falling in love. Yay! We get to follow another Penhallow brother as he falls in love, which I'm excited for and can't wait. So those are the, did I say 10 or 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those are the 12 books I'm looking forward to in 2024. Let me know in the comments if there are any that I missed that you think I would be interested in that are coming out in 2024. Otherwise, let me know if you are excited for any of these that I've listed today. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video on your way out. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more bookish and bullet journaling content from me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!